Hey guys, my name is Frederick from Bantu. Today I'll be taking you through this tutorial video on payroll. And under this module we'll be looking at creating salary components. Okay, so we can go ahead and log into our system. Okay, so what is payroll? So in basic definition, payroll is the compensation the company pays to its employees for the works done in a given period. For example, January 1st to January 31st, these employees were doing the works for this company. So the company has to compensate them at the end of the month for all the work that they did in that given period. So that is how we can define payroll in basic terms. Okay, so in this tutorial we'll be looking at salary components, but before that let's look at a preview of what we expect to see once we are done with this payroll tutorial. So we can go to payroll there and just go to salary slip. Okay, you can edit any. Okay, so we can do a print view. So to preview, you go on the print icon. Okay, so once we are done with the payroll module, this is what we expect to see. So today we'll be looking at components. So allowance, basic pay, these are components. These are earning components, meaning they will increase the gross pay right here. Then income tax, this is a deduction component, which means it will reduce the net pay. So today we are looking at earnings and deductions in this tutorial under salary components. So you can go back to payroll, just click the payroll there. Then under reports and masters, you can select salary component. Okay, so to add a new component, we go to add salary component on our top right. Okay, so this is the field screen that will open up the fields where we need to input the information for this particular salary component that we are trying to create. So name, this is the name of our component. You can say allowance 2. Okay, so that is already there, so you can say allowance 3. Call it that. Then abbreviation, you can say allow A12. Okay, so abbreviation, this is important because we will need this abbreviation in case we want to use this particular component in another salary component. So in case we want to use allowance 12 in another salary component, then we need this abbreviation to call upon this particular component. Then our type there, we're adding an earning, so you're able to change based on what you're adding at that particular time. The deduction, so now we're adding an earning. Okay, so just to explain these points here, so when we have depends on payment days ticked, depends on payment days. Okay, so having this tick means that this component amount to be calculated based on the number of days an employee has worked for in that month. So if an employee has worked for 5 days, whatever amount we put here, the employee will only get for the 5 days and not the entire amount. So leave that one checked. Then is tax applicable? So this means that tax can be applied to this salary component. So meaning this is a taxable component. Tax will be applied to this component. So we also leave that one checked. Okay. So deduct full tax on selected payroll date. So if this is ticked and the component is used in an additional salary, the tax amount applicable on the additional amount will be deducted on the specific payroll month. Okay, so this will be, tax will be added on that specific payroll month. So if we leave this one out and tick that, the tax will be distributed over the remaining months of the payroll. So meaning this will be stretched across the remaining months of that particular payroll month in that given year. Okay, so having round to the nearest integer ticked, so when this is selected, it will allow you to round the amount of this component to the nearest integer. Okay, so we want to leave these two out, we want to use them. So next is statistical component. So when this is selected, it will mean that we cannot use this component independently on its own, but we can use it in another salary component. Then this, having this ticked, means that we can also use particular component as a flexible benefit, which I will explain in a few seconds. So we cannot, if we have this ticked, we cannot use this independently, but instead we'll call upon this in another salary component, and we can also set this as a flexible benefit. So we want to take that one out. Okay, so do not include in total. So what this means is we have this component active, but we don't want it to add to the gross pay. We have it active, but we don't want it to add to the gross pay. So when we have this ticked, it won't add its amount to the gross pay. So we'll leave that one out. Then disabled is we just completely want to disable this component. We don't want to delete it, but just want to disable it. So then we can disable it from there. But we want to use it, so we'll leave that one active. Okay, so coming to the flexible benefits. So this section is shown if the salary component is an earning. So our type there. If this is an earning, then the flexible benefits will show up there. So if we change this to deduction, the flexible benefit will not show up because it only shows under an earning. So we're under earnings. Okay, so flexible benefit plans allow employees to avail the benefits they want if need from the package of programs offered by an employer. So let's say the company has a package called telephone bills, transport allowance. So an employee has an option to select. Maybe the company will say, okay, our policies, you need to select only one of the mentioned above. So if this allowance is statistical, meaning we can call upon this as a flexible benefit. So an employee is able to select it as a flexible benefit. Okay, so accounts. So this field is important. You need to select the account and the company attached to this salary component. So go and add row. So my default company will show up there. So I need to select an account. So I go to salary. So that is the account that I'll attach to this component that I'm creating, which is allowance 12. Okay, so we can activate drop down. So we'll look at formulas and conditions in another tutorial video. So for now we can skip that one out and just go straight to amount. So amount, this is if we want to put a fixed amount to this component. So let's say our fixed amount is 1000. So this means that whenever we are using this component, the system will be picking this 1000 as its amount. Okay, so the amount based on formula will be discussed in another tutorial video. So you just check through we have our name, abbreviation, and our type there, and our items that we want this component to be associated with our amount. Okay, so we can go ahead and save this component. Okay, so once it's saved, we should see it in our list of salary components there. Go to stuff there, we have our allowance 12 there. Okay, so that's all on adding salary components. In our next tutorial, we'll be looking at salary structures. Okay, so you can also check out the services that we offer from the link in the description below. Till our next tutorial.